now from Star Trek. He was Commander Sulu. We've had him on the show a million times, and everybody loves George. And everybody loves his husband, Brad.
You call him by his final rank, huh? Commander.
Commander Takei, yes. Commander Sulu. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course I do.
I didn't know you did that. I
Wonderful.
was thinking of him as Lieutenant Sulu.
Well, he became a captain, and then when he became commander, they got him right out of the movies. They said, George, we have good news and bad news. We've made you Commander Sulu. The bad news is Commander Sulu is not in the movie.
Get out of here.
He's like, but I'm a commander now in Starfleet. Thank you. Anyway, George, this is the best. I just love when we get embedded with various people, and we love George and Brad, and anything we can learn about them, we love. A Star Trek legend, Japanese-American George Takei, was the Grand Marshal of the first Japan Day Parade in New York City. There never was a Japan Day Parade.
Really? I didn't know that, but now I'm glad it's happened.
The parade marks the 150th anniversary of the friendship between New York City and Japan. And they made George the Grand Marshal. So you could imagine, I'm the Grand Marshal. It's Commander Sulu.
Does that come with a uniform?
I would have... Japan Day Parade, and nobody, has a better story or more horrible story than George. He was in a Japanese-American internment camp, the whole thing. We don't have to go through it. But we thought this was a good opportunity to touch base with George and Brad, so we sent our crack team, Mehmet and Derek, to cover the big day. And
were they excited? I mean, I suppose George was really honored.
This is the greatest story you're ever going to hear, Robin. It's just so beautiful. An hour or so before the parade, George graced us with a traditional Japanese song while he was getgetting ready.
Okina wan wan chichana wan 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 tanakeba. Okina wan wan chichana wan wan.
George's mother used to sing this to him when he was a little boy.
Wan wan chichana wan 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 itsumo nakayoshi.
The dog Wan Wan is the sound a dog evidently makes. I always thought it was woof woof, but what do I know? Wan Wan.
Well, you've never met a Japanese dog.
No, I haven't. All the dogs I've ever met were from this country. Chi. Anyway, so when George arrived at the parade, he was greeted by a lot of dignitaries, including the ambassador and consul general of Japan. And so here they are in New York, the ambassador and the consul general, and they're meeting George.
Yes.
And George used the opportunity to plug his Broadway show Allegiance.
Oh.
And I think Brad pulled him right out of there. I think they just, because I think they saw the officials were starting to look a little woozy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Come on.
Well, you look elegant.
It's my honor.
It's my honor to meet you. We saw you on MSNBC yesterday. You were impressive.
And I saw you everywhere.
We developed a musical for Broadway on the internment of Japanese Americans called Allegiance. Did you get a chance to see it?
Not yet. I've heard of it, but I never had a chance yet.
You may have another chance.
Yeah.
We're going on the West End in London.
Yeah.
I was up
George,
there.
we have to, the ambassador has to go.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
The ambassador jumped out the window to escape the conversation. Did you happen to see the musical Allegiance?
He's so funny. Like, really, it didn't play that long.
No. Wasn't a
How
big
many
hit.
people do you think saw it?
George, we have to go. The ambassador has to go. Oh, by the way, the ambassador is the consul general. That's his full title. Ambassador and consul general. So it was one dude he met with.
All right.
And they pulled him out of there real quick. So,
everywhere. Does Brad have to, sort of snatch George and get him away everywhere? He's like the hook.
Hey, Mehmet, these got some life, huh? It's great. It's fascinating. I mean, there's a reality show in this, don't you think?
Brad and George?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's an interesting dynamic. A lot of I would say passive aggressive kind of behavior towards each other.
Right.
But the parade in general was just a kind of a mess. I felt sorry for George. I just felt he was a little disrespected by the way the parade went down.
Well, let me play this for people. Yeah, what Mehmet's talking about is well, here, I'll take you to it. So after George met with the consul general,
Yeah.
George was rushed off to the ribbon cutting ceremony, and this was a good opportunity for Mehmet to get Brad alone.
Oh, this is great because anytime Brad that day, they were having a difficult day. It was just a lot of stress that day, getting George's lunch, and there was some bickering back and forth. And so when I pulled Brad aside and tried to talk to him about George, anytime he would say something nice about George, his voice would go super high pitch, like just sounded like he was gritting his teeth, but you can hear it in the clip.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so George is doing the ribbon cutting, and Brad's standing there. Brad actually seemed to be struggling to say a few nice things about George. Here you go.
No, George is fun to live with. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's slightly narcissistic, but I mean, he has a right to be. You know, he thinks about himself first, and then me second. Brad, it's time for lunch. He would never think of getting lunch himself. Or Brad, there's no fresh blueberries in the refrigerator. Well, George, run down to Morton Williams and get fresh blueberries. It's Brad, run down to Morton Williams and get fresh blueberries. So, Brad, I'm out of clean socks, meaning, Brad, time for you to do the laundry.
You know, Brad, these blueberries don't have feet. They can't walk to the house. You need to get them in here. Brad was pulled away moments later. George needed a pillow for his buttocks. So you could see that Brad is very, very needed in every situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Brad brings George's butt pillow over to him.
We have to get the pillow. Where's Brad?
Excuse me, I'm right here. I have to get
You
in.
gotta go into the pillow.
Right here.
Go into the car.
George, here's your pillow. George, just sit on the left side with the cushion underneath you.
What's going on there? So here, Brad is complaining to you that he has to take care of every one of George's needs.
Right.
And then 2 seconds later, he's looking for a butt pillow.
Yeah, George, he needed a pillow for his butt because he had to sit on the car. The bottom line is Brad is a really nice guy who works really hard for George, like because George is, I think, very demanding, as you heard Brad describe. And I just think sometimes he feels maybe a little taken advantage of or not appreciated.
I see. Well, let's continue. This is very interesting, this whole thing. George sat in a fancy convertible for the parade route and was soaking up the attention from the crowds and his adoring fans. And he kept
so the
saying
parade
that
started well. I mean, it started good. He was put in a convertible. There were lots of fans outside, and everyone was very, very excited to see him. So far in the parade, things are going well.
And he kept saying the same two phrases over and over again.
Live long and prosper. Enjoy the parade. Live long and prosper. This is a great day for a parade. Enjoy the parade. Live long and prosper. Live long and prosper. At a good parade, if you have these regularly, you're going to live long and prosper. You're going to live long and prosper. Live long and prosper. It's a beautiful day for a parade. It's a beautiful day for a parade. Live long and prosper. You're going to live long and prosper.
You know how much I love George, but, you know, I was listening to this last night and I'm saying to myself, wait a second. Wasn't live long and prosper Spock's line?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's not even, I mean, the sad part is in Star Trek, I mean, they didn't give George a whole lot to do, so he didn't even have a tagline.
Yes, Captain.
Yes. He should just yell out, yes, Captain. Live long and prosper is Spock.
Yeah.
Oy vey. You know, Leonard is dead, so I took his tagline. I don't care. I'm saying live long and prosper.
Aye,
that's
sir. He said that too. He could have said, yes, Captain, and aye, sir.
I started to yell to the Japanese people, aye, sir, but it meant nothing to them. Then I tried my tagline, oh my, musculature, tickle my tits, and nothing,
And guacamole.
nothing. I said to them, musculature and guacamole.
Musculature.
He started yelling out to the crowd, Warp 3,
Guacamole.
Captain. Aye, aye. Live long and prosper. He must have felt awful having to say live long and prosper. I mean, it is dry oatmeal.
Guacamole.
And what is
Tsunami.
George's line? Tsunami, dry oatmeal.
Tsunami.
Enjoy the day.
Analingus.
By the way, the Japanese parade, some of the music too, the instruments, the traditional Japanese instruments. Imagine going down there on a Saturday morning and listening to this. Hey,
That'll
babe.
get ya.
No, my God. Sounds like an air raid siren. Ouch. I used to watch those horrible documentaries on the bombing of Hiroshima, and it would be like ding, 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 you know, in those kind of instruments.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
oh, shit, this is depressing. All right, so now back
This
to
is
George.
where it starts to go to shit, the parade.
Yeah, this is great. For some reason, they made George get out of his car, this beautiful convertible he was in, and waving to everyone and saying, live long and prosper, right in the middle of the parade route to do press interviews. And you know, sometimes you just shouldn't listen to people. You should just sit in your car and continue to wave. But, you know, George is listening to the people who are running the Japan Day parade.
Right.
And there's a whole mix-up. So the car carrying George keeps driving down the parade route without George.
Oh,
And the parade goers are waving at an empty car with a banner that reads Grand Marshal George Takei. And Brad was really fucking ticked off.
I'm really pissed off. Why is the parade ending on 68th Street and George's convertible is going without him?
Because we were told that the press was going to be here. That's what Race told us.
Those fans have been waiting in line to see George, and they're seeing a convertible with no George Takei in it. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The convertible is going down the street without George in it to 68th Street, and George isn't in the convertible. All those people wonder, where's the Grand Marshal?
Why don't we get him a golf cart and we can finish the parade down?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and get the banner, too. Get the George Takei banner.
So now they're talking about sticking George in a golf cart. This is what happens. So I've had a career. I've seen this kind of shit. You listen to people, they tell you to get out of the car. Next thing you know, they don't know what they're talking about. There's no press there. And now you're in a fucking golf cart yelling out, live long and prosper. I mean, you know what I mean?
Musculature.
Well, it was so sad because the convertible is like dignified and it really has like a sort of grand marshal grandness to it. And then he's just put in this tiny little pathetic golf cart that is just, I don't know, it just felt very, very disrespectful to him.
Yeah.
But the
Imagine.
visual of the convertible in the front of this giant parade going down New York City, and it's literally just an empty car that says, you know, please welcome George Takei, and all the parade goers are staring at it, confused, wondering where George is.
Yeah, here's George kicked out
I'm
of his
really
car.
pissed off.
Oh, wait. Here it is. This is George now on the golf cart.
Right.
All right. He's on the fucking golf cart. And you can
And he
hear
took
the
it with good
motors.
spirits, but it
Right.
was starting to get to him.
This is George riding around. He's not in his nice convertible. You hear the little motor on the golf cart.
Yeah.
Sputtering along.
Live long and prosper. The folk dancers are coming up next. Good to see you. I'm beaming. I'm beaming.
Ironically, he's not prospering. He's been demoted to a golf cart.
sounds like he's riding on a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And this is an American hero. Like, this is someone we put in an internment camp, you know, during World War II. And
Don't you think somewhere along the way, William Shatner is just so pleased about all this? I mean, he must
Probably.
Shatner got to ride into space on a rocket ship, and George had to finish a parade in a golf cart. Anyway, then it got worse. The battery dies in the golf cart.
What?
No,
Actually,
not the golf
I got
cart,
it
yeah.
wrong. The batteries die in the car hired to take George home after the parade.
And George is tired. Like all he wants to do is go home. Like he's had this day where a bunch of things are going wrong, and they pull up the big black SUV is waiting for him, and he crawls in, and it turns out the driver left the car on during the entire parade. I think he was listening to his radio or something.
Yeah.
And yes, the battery died.
Wait till you hear the defeat in poor George's voice. Here you go.
Ready to go back to George's apartment. The vehicle that we're in has a dead battery, and so we're sitting in the back seat not knowing what's going on.
It is a disgrace. I'm a disgraced Grand Marshal.
We have another car for you.
Okay, I'm going to open. Get hold of it.
Just behind the sanitation truck, George. Right here.
And there it is. So the battery dies. George is defeated. He goes, I'm a disgraced Grand Marshal. And then to make matters worse, when they switch him out of the car, he's getting out behind a garbage truck.
It was just so horrible. I think the driver was afraid he was going to get in trouble. So instead of just quickly ordering George an Uber, the driver was like, no, wait, I'll get another car. So George is tired. He wants to go home. And they made him sit in this car for like an hour while they tried to scramble for another car. And then when they finally found one, he had to sit, as you hear, next to like a dumpster while they were loading it, a garbage truck for his next car. It was terrible.
I'm glad you would. Mehmet, I'm glad you were there to cover this because this is the dark side of show business. Everyone thinks it's fun and
people
game.
don't realize. Yeah.
I'm a disgraced Grand Marshal.
All he can think of is somebody's, zooming this down to William Shatner wherever he is, so he can have a good laugh.
And poor
at
George
George's
is like,
expense.
poor George is like, poor Brad. Brad's busy getting him different things. It's just not. It's just what a sad
Brad's
day.
job is to keep his ego pumped up.
Excuse me, someone's being very, very rude. Oh, hey, George. George. How you doing, man? I'm sorry what happened with the Japan Day. Yeah.
Live long and prosper. Beautiful day for a parade. Live long and prosper.
I love your line, live long and prosper. It's so smart to continue on that tradition.
You have to honor the legacy of Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry and the fans. They love Star Trek and they love me.
How many, and this is maybe too inside, but how many live long and prospers do you have to do before you get to enjoy the parade? In other words, will you mix it up? Will you say live long and prosper, enjoy the parade? Or will you sometimes say like live long and prosper, and then enjoy the parade?
Well, the thing is, you're moving at a certain pace, and you don't know who's heard me say live long and prosper. So I keep saying it because some fan out there has been waiting hours to hear my wonderful phrase, live long and prosper. I had to make the Star Trek sign, the Vulcan salute, with my hands all day. They were in agony. And I told Brad later, I said, don't expect a hand job for at least a month.
By the way, hey, I'm no expert on relationships, and far be it from me to say anything to the great George Takei about his relationship. But let me just give you a bit of advice, and if I'm out of line, you tell me. What's with ordering Brad around, your lovely husband? You yell at him, where is my ass pillow? Where are my blueberries? You've got to show some appreciation.
Thanks for reminding me. Brad, where's my ass pillow? Listen, Howard, there shouldn't be any dilly-dallying when I'm the honoree of a prestigious parade.
I see. In other words,
you're
the Grand Marshal, and you should be treated by Brad in a certain way, not as just his husband, but you are elevated at that moment. I see.
I just demand hard work.
Pillow.
Yeah, I need my ass pillow. It's a, it's a long trek, pun intended, and you have to be comfortable. I demand a lot for my assistant. I mean, husband.
Right. Well, all right. Well, there you go. I'm not going to interfere in your relationship. So, was the parade a good experience, or were you disappointed? I saw by the end of the parade you were demoted to a golf cart. And you said you were a disgraced grand marshal.
Well, I think I was just a little tired there. It was a very positive experience. And one of the great things was they let me keep my golf cart. Here, watch me ride around. Live long and prosper. Beautiful day for a parade. Live long and prosper. I could do this forever, Howard. They got me a great ass pillow.
All right, George. Thank you so much. There he is. George says it was a good experience. There you go.
I think he was a little tired. That's all. You were hearing that voice of defeat because it had been a long day.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a glimpse into our hero, George Takei, and his big day as the Grand Marshal, as brought to you by Mehmet and Derek as they traveled around with George and Brad. Lots of fun.
Another moment in journalism bravery.